Recording in progress.
What's up, Crash It Nation? This is Jonathan Wood. This is another episode of the Crash It podcast. We thank each and every one of you for joining in. We had a wonderful weekend. We were at the Apple Bash on October 7th, this last Saturday, and we want to thank all the fans, the drivers, and just the crews for coming out for that. It was a really good show. We had lots of cars and lots of fans and stands. And when you look up there as a driver and you see the crowd, shoulder to shoulder, on their feet through the whole night, that's just got to be, it's just a great feeling as a driver to know that you have friends and family in the stands supporting you. And it was just awesome to look up at different points in the night and find out, just how grateful we are for seeing the amount of people that showed up for the Apple Bash. Josh would look like he was just joining me. He didn't miss much. We just started this thing. But so we started the night. We had a figure eight and a demolition derby. We had our gut and go class, the full size stock, and our worthy bail bonds. Points battle it's really tightening up towards the top. And in the first heat, we just rolled them on out. And in the first heat, we had Jordan Piter coming in first, James Fisher finishing in second, followed by Blaine Tobin, who James and Blaine, they're racing, towards the top of the points. We've got one more show left after this weekend, and this weekend's our championship night. So we knew going into this heat that the tensions would be high, and there's some really strong cars in this heat. We had Beth Anderson. She's been getting better and better. She had her new car out this heat. We didn't know what we'd see out of that. And David Gerling has been running the same Celica all year long. He had a really good run, but Jordan Piter was able to bring home the win. The track was drier, but we had one corner that was falling out pretty good at the beginning. It was just like was like really wet right there. Didn't drain very good right in that corner. And some of the cars, they were sinking coming out of there. So it was a game of who could avoid the hole the best. And the rest of the track was awesome. But Jordan Piter and James Fisher would be moving on. We did the 6 heats again with the top 2 transferring on. They're bigger heats, but we've talked to a lot of the drivers that's been running the shows all year long, and a lot of them like the bigger heats because you don't have to win to make it in. It's just the top 2. They say they feel like they get more time to, watch the other races and work on their cars. If and right off the bat, if you weren't first or second, if you have something fixed, you go back there and fix it right away, and you'll be in the B. We do our Bs from the first couple heats, go to the first B, second couple heats go to the second B, and then the third set of heats go to the third B. So we had some new viewers viewing in this week on YouTube. We thank you all for stopping by and checking out the channel. They were new to the figure eight scene, and a lot of them were wishing they did that where they're from. And so they're seeing how many cars we had, and they checked out the channel quite a bit, and they said, man, you guys got something good going on here, and we'd like to be part of that. We'd like to, for this part of the country, to kind of take that on. And I had a couple promoters reach out to me from up north, and it sounds like they may give it a whirl next year. I told them to contact Jacob and Joshua to get some, kind of how they do it. And I'm sure they'll be reaching out after the season to try to set something up north. We love seeing the figure eight sport grow, and it's just awesome to see. We see the constant transition of figure eight drivers to derby drivers, and the derby drivers to figure eight drivers, and this show, we got to see both. We had a lot of our IMR group. They showed up. I just want to give them a shout out. I think they had like 14 cars. I think they had like 7 gut and goes, and these are guys that are normally figure eight, and they were wanting to give the gut and goes a try. And then we have our full size driver that's coming, Justin Quincy. He came down and ran the figure eight a couple weeks ago, and he's been slowly getting better and better. He actually found himself in the A main this week. So, and heat number 2, we had Nathan Dummermuth bringing home the win. Johnny Egger getting second, Michael Bennett getting third. I talked to old Michael before, after his heat. He said, "Man, I just got a little anxious." He's a long time figure eight driver. He's been out of it this year quite a bit, but he jumped back in the saddle and he said, "Man, I just got too excited." I think he hit a tire or something. He said he had new V treads on. He wasn't expected to turn that fast. So, Dylan White getting fourth, Alan Fisher. Shout out to that crew the night before the figure eight. They're out there, and I get a Snapchat at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and they're pulling the engine because the head gasket went out on his car. And he drives like a little Cavalier, and I think I believe it's an Ecotech or maybe it's non-eco, but he pulled that engine the night before the show, like at 11 o'clock at night. They got the new engine in the day of the show and came out and played. And I told them before the race, they were coming through tech line. We were talking about it, and I came in. I told him before the race he'd probably be pretty happy he did. And as we get into the results, I believe you guys would agree with that statement for sure. Michael Belcher, he had a pretty good run out there. I don't know what happened to him, but I love when that S26 of Brooklyn Billman shows up. Sometimes she rolls through tech line and says, "Oh, I'm just powder puff only. I got to save the car." But on Saturday night, she pulls through the tech line. I asked her what she's doing, and she said, "Oh, I'm going full on tonight. Them boys better watch out." And I seen about 3 drivers head around them just drop, like, "Oh shoot!" Like, I hope I'm not in a hurry. So, uh, yeah, it's a good heat. Heat too. They added some water to the track, and it played right into Nathan and Johnny's hands. Another top 10 um, on the points, advancing on to the A main. And in Heat 3, we had Justin Quincy and Landon Worthy. So Landon jumped out to a huge lead, and there's like a lap to go, and him and Dennis Nichols hit head on. And that allowed Justin Quincy to come around him, and he ended up actually getting the win. And he got the win, and Landon he had enough track position that he got second place and junked out his car. Yeah, well, just a little bit about that. So Landon's running second in points, and I was clueless to what took place going into the A main, but I guess Dennis Nichols came down there, offered him his car. Landon said on his Facebook post he didn't want to take Dennis's car because still had a B main to run. He didn't want to ruin someone else's chances into making it. And I guess at some point in time, Blaine Tobin, I guess he did not transfer through the second or the first B main, and they had reached out to Landon and asked him if he wanted to drive his car. And for those that are listening all over the world that don't really know, so Dylan Chilton's our points leader right now, and Landon Worthy's second. Well, Dylan and Blaine Tobin are teammates. They build out of the same shop, and they reached out to Landon, offered him up a brand new car that Blaine just built. Like, it's only been at like 2 or 3 shows. Put him in the driver's seat, and the only thing they wanted in return is Blaine just wanted to ride with them in the A. If that doesn't say the camaraderie of the sport that you would get, I don't know what else to say about that. What do you think, Joshua?
Yeah. Yeah, so for starters, Dennis actually he actually did scratch himself out of his consi. So they were all set to, for Landon to do that. So for Dennis, I don't think he's ever made a feature. So for him to do that, for starters, for he was he was one spot out of the feature, so he was going to the B. So for him to, take his car, even without even, I don't even think he thought about it very much, and to give his spot up was pretty awesome. He went and scratched himself out of the heat and said, "Landon's just going to drive my car." And then, like you said, Blaine didn't make it. But yeah, for those that don't know, there's like certain personalities that I don't know if people try to come across, but Blaine and Landon, they're kind of like, I don't want to say they pretend like they're badasses, because they are, but they have like a kind of a hard outside, like, they're definitely competitive souls. So for them, they're both, those two are two of the most competitive people on our sport. I'm sure you would agree. For them, to both be in the position they were in, I think it just speaks volumes. And is really just, if you were to give a snapshot of what this sport means for so many people, why we continue to grow, it's just the people, it's the drivers involved. I was floored whenever I heard, hell, Blaine hasn't even let his teammates drive that car, and he gave up that spot just to, let Landon basically compete against, his best friend, to try and take a championship away from him. So, man, I'm still floored that he did that.
Yeah, I was
There are
shocked
some
because
special guys.
yeah, I seen the zero, or I seen Blaine's car out there, and I just figured Blaine was like, "No, I'm feature passing." I figured he had a feature pass up his sleeve or something. I didn't even know that was Landon until the next day. I seen Landon's post on Facebook. I read it, and I think he hit the nail right on the head with his post. He just said, you know, it's more than just giving a car. It's just these are guys that have countless hours in the shop. You know, literally told them like, go out there, give it your best shot. If you break something, we'll fix it before next week. Like that's just crazy to me. and But you could tell Landon was, he was trying to take it easy out there, protect Blaine's car, which in that race, I mean, that was a tall task. But I kind of got sidetracked there. I just was floored by that whole sequence of events. And so Heat 4 rolls out. We have Lori Egger coming home with the win. She was just on it from the get go. She pedal to the metal, and the line worked out perfect for her. I mean, there was that big swamp hole down low, and Lori's always one that just hammers it down through the corners, and wherever the car takes her, that's where she goes. But it's 90 mile an hour around the whole track, and uh, everyone was just kind of following her around the track, and she definitely had some speed out there. And Daniel Wallenmeyer, he got second. We were talking, I believe in the tech line, I think it was you, said, "Man, I don't know. Every time that guy's in a car, he does good. It don't matter what kind of car he's in." And here he is again in some, it's not a normal car we see out there. And he's out there making the A and something. I don't even know if it has an e-brake in that thing or how he rigged it up, because it's more of a mid-sized car that he's driving around.
Yeah, no,
Jason's
he's fairly impressive. I think that's actually Jacob that said that, but you've seen him make A's in some off the wall cars. He was the one and driving that Herbie Bug last year, and I think he
man.
made a couple A's in that. So I mean, He's definitely a driver, that's for sure. He impresses every time he gets on the track.
And Jason Stark, he was making a good push to the front in that 29S. Matt Youngmeyer and Garrett Ferguson were having their own battle, and Tracy, she was having problems. She got sixth place. I don't know that 5 and 2. Was that a new driver? That Tom Jones?
Yeah, he was at Sedalia. Yeah, Tracy was actually she was coming on strong, and then I don't know if she went too close to a dead car or something, but I think she just barely scraped a car and it broke a tie rod or spindle or something like that on her car. But she made her way all the way to second. I thought, at one this is one, her and Lori, right? I thought
Yep.
thought they were out front. At
Oh,
one
yeah.
point, I thought it was going to be the Edgar girls taking it home. I guess she's a
Yep.
snooper, but yeah.
Yeah. Close enough. The IMR crew. And then heat 5, Garrett Jones doesn't miss a beat. He won Eldon and he comes back, and here he is in Versailles, and he just seems like the car's on rails again. And at this point in time, I'm going, will he repeat? Because he looked good, looked real strong in his heat, won his heat. And Joshua Craig got second. I was glad to see him step on that old V6 a little. I told him before the show, I said, I want to see what that thing can do. Said I said, there's only 2 races left, so hammer down there, buddy. And I can't wait to hear the whole Waterboy next week or this week about can't hold nothing back tonight, it's the last race of the season. And I can't wait to hear how many of them we get. And Ricky Bobby, he was out there. He seemed like he got caught up in something. I kind of missed him. It seemed like he was running kind of towards the front, and then next thing I know, he's hung up or something down there in the corner. I think there was like 3 or 4 cars that got hung up in this one, and that little sinkhole, like right off, probably like 2 laps into it. I'd have to go back and watch the tape, but that Willard Works, he did pretty good in that 39J. And Josh Bertoni getting 4th. Yeah, that was a pretty, those top 2, they kind of took off though on that heat, if my memory serves. Dylan Chilton come out in heat 6th, and he clinched his spot for transfer, all by his teammate Kyle Wardenhausen. They had a battle with James Fisher and Hayden Forcinetti. I say James, but James was a ways back, but he had to be turning some fast laps for that heat because he was definitely closing the gap in on him. And I was talking to Jordan Piter, I think that's who it was, and he is riding with James through that heat, and he said, "Man, that car is wicked fast. Once he gets it figured out, he's gonna be tough to beat." He's just going through some problems. I don't know if it's got his steering turned up too much with he's running hydraulic steering. I don't know if it's steering too far and snapping axles or what. But once he figures it out, that car is going to be hard to beat. But yep. So right after our heats, we had our gut and go class come out. I love seeing all the new Derby drivers that are trying out the gut and go. It's a great class for entry drivers and for the skilled chess match drivers. Because I mean, you get both ends on the gut and go, and man, I guess Wes Jordan went out there and got broke right off the bat, and Winton Woods, was out there. I didn't even know some of these people were out there. But Jason Stark was driving the 95K, or is that supposed to be Kenneth Witt or Kevin Witt? I meant that's Kevin, right? Says
I
Jay
think so.
Stark on here, but I'm pretty sure it's Kevin Witt. Yeah, he's driving in this van and his bumper came off and he's looking for it for 2 hours. So he come up after the derby. You see my bumper? So no, we normally just set it around the side, and I didn't know Jacob put it in the back of his van. He walked around the track probably 10 times the rest of the night looking for his bumper. And he come up to me and said, yeah, everybody's been looking at the way I was doing them front ends. They're all going to copy off me now. And they even took my bumper. And then the next day I texted him. He said, oh, I found that thing. It was in the back of my van. And I said, oh, yeah, I meant to tell you. Jacob put it in there. It was nice to see all the IMR cars come out. You know, I was talking to a bunch of them, and they all said we're going to come out and put on a show, and most of them did. And Tracy was kind of driving the win, though. She had a alternative motive, and I got a couple of comments on some of my videos that Tracy didn't hold up her end of the bargain. She was supposed to go out there and junk them things, but she drove it down to second. So kudos to her. She was driving for breast cancer awareness, and she had some people. She said she was going to donate the money she won to them. So that is kudos to her on that one. Love seeing the support people get behind her, and she set up like a little GoFundMe. I think she probably had pretty good results with that, getting those ladies some money that were battling the fight for cancer. But
Yeah,
Landon Worthy,
she was walking off the track after she got done. She said, well, I just won these girls, $250 or whatever she ended up winning. So I think that kind of changed her driving style, or her plan that she had before she went out there was just driving for something bigger than herself.
yeah, and she said, man, that was so much fun. She said, screw these figure 8 cars. I love these gut and goes.
Yeah, so she's got the attitude for it, that's for sure.
Oh, she likes to bang around on the tracks. But yeah, Landon Worthy won. Tracy got second. Garrett Ferguson. I don't know if you got to see his car, but so he had his gas tank in his back seat. And I think he was driving a W body or something, and he hit a van pretty hard cross track, and that rear end folded up, and then in, and then over his gas tank in the back of his car. I took a couple pictures of it and put it up for everybody to see. His trunk is almost touching the back of his driver's seat. That's how far it's bent in there. It was really cool to look at.
Yeah, I think he said
like,
it was almost touching his headrest.
Yeah, it was close.
No,
Wyatt Hobbs, he drove her down to fourth, and we can't forget about Derek Wardenhausen winning the Mad Dog. I think what sealed the deal for him, he went full track right into, I think that was Dustin's door. But he was driving that SUV. I was watching that video. I mean, it's square in the passenger door. But he was going Mach 10 across the track in reverse, and another Mad Dog for the Full Send Mafia crew.
That's what they like. They say that's what they're there for. Although, if you watch Brandon drive, I'm not sure he's going for Mad Dogs.
Yeah, Brandon's going there to try to drive it down. He got 5th place. Yeah, he actually has a different strategy, because he came up to me after Eldon. He said, well, that's the first show I've tried to go for Mad Dog, and I didn't even get it. Said I junked that poor old car. But Joshua Craig got 7th place. He was the one that He came across there and he 45 Derek right in front of me and sent off his passenger airbag. And I loved it. I posted that video today and I had about 10 comments. That's why I didn't ride with you, Derek. I knew you left that airbag in there. And I guess he was offering rides to people, and a lot of people weren't willing to get in the car with Derek. And if you've seen him drive, you probably know why. But that old airbag went off. And he said, I had all the sensors unhooked, but sometimes if it's in there, it'll still go if it's hit right. So, thought that was cool. The crowd loves watching an airbag explode in someone's face. They just eat that up. I mean, when that happened, the crowd behind me is like, "Oh, that airbag just blew up in that guy's face." And I was like, yeah, it did. I was like, they just ate that up, man. They love
Jonathan's going, there's my next reel.
it. I was too. But Kurt Turpin, I don't know, he was driving a good derby and something just happened with his car. He was driving across the track and it looked like it came dead stop. I don't know if he had an axle or tranny or something go out on him, but uh, he had no power. The car was still running, just didn't have any forward or reverse gears. So one of my favorite people to watch was that Avery Shaw. Every time, I don't know if David Shaw told her dad told her to go with the hits or whatever, but she come down there and hit someone and it looked like she was trying to eat the steering wheel. I don't know if she just wasn't bracing herself or what. She about bounced her helmet off. I mean, it wasn't a very hard hit, but she bounced her helmet off the steering wheel pretty good. And I was just getting a kick out of watching her drive around the track, and they had racing seats in the car, and you could see it was just hurting David. He said, "Man, them racing seats hurt." I was talking to him after the Derby on the track. He said, "Yeah, I'm not a fan of them racing seats." But Johnny Edgar, he made a couple solid hits. He was he was in the running of the Mad Dog. I think he had 2 votes or something like that. But yeah, all in all, that gut go class, I think it lasted 15 minutes. Is a pretty good show. Uh, there was definitely people there trying to win, and there's people there just ready to junk their stuff, and it makes for a good show watching them guys trying to drive around, dodge all these kamikaze drivers coming at them.
Yeah, there looked to be like at the start of it, there was a little FSM Integrity Motors battle going on.
Yeah, they weren't even trying to hit each other either. Because I was talking to Dustin, he goes, "Yeah, the first thing they told me is not to go after Tom Wardenhausen." That this Dustin Thompson, he goes, "Guess who lined up behind me?" So I just went all. He said, "I just sent it." So they told me not to go after him, but he was lined up across me, and I wasn't about to get full track, so I went first. What'd you think about the countdown? That threw everybody off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of it for the derbies, but for the figure eight, he's hard. He's a hard guy to jump. We had a few complaints about that from the fans that people were going off on two like they always have been. But there's no going on two with him. He mixes it up every time. But
Yeah,
most of the derby drivers, I don't think they liked it. They didn't know what the hell was going on.
They didn't have a countdown. With the gut go, he just said, "Go, go." And everyone's kind of looking around like, "Do we go? Who's gonna go first?" No one wanted to go first. So, but yeah, The chat's open if you guys are probably already on there lighting it up. I'm not even paying attention. Yep. Hans Anderson said that Tom Jones is a pastor at his church. So that's cool. Hans is always someone that, he's real big on the John 3:16. He always has that on his car and stuff. And it's cool that the Derby world's getting a pasture out there. Pretty soon we're gonna be having weddings at the track. All these guys are missing races because of weddings and stuff. They're gonna be talking their friends into having them at the track. Like, oh, we got a pastor that drives in them, and oh, Joshua Craig said his goal is to land on TikTok. We'll just have to see who makes the reel this weekend. This is my favorite weekend. I don't want to jump too far ahead. I'm getting too sidetracked. Uh let's finish this off first. Then we had our B mains come out. B main number 1, Dylan White
Hey,
came out.
before you go off of before you get off the gut and go, you said Wesley Jordan was, you thought he went first out or whatever.
Said it I'm just looking at the results. I didn't even know he was out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if anything, I think we try to be as transparent as possible. So that's kind of a product of a system that we created that had good intentions, but I think people have just abused it over the years. But anyways, you can, anytime that you show up for one of our shows, you get show up points. And in the past, we've had some drivers that, are super dedicated. We've talked about that in the past often. And, these drivers run for points, or, they get extremely invested in their points runs. So we had some super drip rope drivers a few years ago.
Yeah,
By the end of the season,
we kind of lost you right there at the end.
Okay. Sorry, I'm walking around, getting in the shop. So anyways, I don't know what all you heard, but it's just kind of a thing that came about because we were, just trying to do what was best for the drivers. So we have super invested drivers. They were wanting to show up for points, and they were basically just dragging junk to the shows. They'd unload the car, run it through, or try and run it through tech, but it didn't run, or could barely move. So they would have to get a skid steer and try and bring it through tech just to get these freaking points. And they were, it's not cheap to get a car. It's not cheap to get a car through tech. So we're like, man, if you just want to run points, I mean, it's the same thing as a guy showing up, bringing a car and doesn't pass tech. Like, you still get those show up points. Just don't even bring, like, just leave the car at home, come sign up, get in our system. We'll just give you the points. But, over the years, I think it's just kind of got abused a little bit. So, that'll probably be one of the changes we make next year. But, for this year, that's kind of where that Wesley Jordan thing is.
Okay. That makes sense. So basically he registered.
It's been bugging us through this year, so we just wanted to get it out there.
All right. Right after the gut and go, we went to B mains for the figure 8. Dylan White, Alan Fisher making the call, winning your B mains. Number 1, Michael Bennett with a close 3rd place. He missed it by 1 transfer spot each time, and he was just right there. But some of the B mains, man, they got rough out there. These guys were leaving it all on the line. It's the last chance transfer spot, and man, we were watching some of them Bs, and whew, these guys were, some of the Bs only had 4 cars running at the end. I mean, they were just that, competitive. And B main number one, that I felt like was one of the most competitive Bs. But man, that Dylan White and Alan Fisher they were driving. And I actually sent Dylan White a picture. He's probably a centimeter from the tire, in the middle of the tire. I mean, he was hugging that thing. Looked like that car was on rails, and Alan was right there behind him. And Blaine Tobin was in this one. He just missed the transfer barely. Let's see who else that stuck out to me.
This is one of my favorite consies. Or
Yeah,
this was probably my favorite race of the night. So
Dawson Gump, I felt like was doing really good too in that B.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was one of my favorite consies of the night. This like Michael Bennett and Dylan were 1-2 throughout the whole race, and Allen was just trying to reel him in, reel down. Second. Dylan jumped out to a lead, but Mike Bennett was comfortably in second for I think every lap but the last lap. And it was one of those deals where Alan Fisher knew what he had to do, spun him that last corner, and then the checker dropped, coming around. So it was good driving by Alan. Kind of one of those spots where, kind of being that behind car played out and Alan Fisher's advantage. It was a hell of a
Yeah,
move.
that was crazy.
I
This
mean,
B
spun him
two,
out,
this
and then he spun him out, and then he spun him like right into that big mud spot or whatever. So he was kind of stuck there. So
yeah, yeah,
I
that's
put him
right. I
on.
remember that. Yeah, I remember that. What'd you think of B2, Garrett Fisher or Garrett Ferguson and Jared Snurich bringing home the 1 and 2? Jason Stark, he missed out again. So we had a couple people that got third in their heat, third in the B, just missed it on, barely missing it. And this was the one that uh, Matt Youngmeyer was in, and that Tom Jones was back out there. Robert Crawl, he was out there. It's good to see old Robert back out there. And Daryl Elliott, he was
Uh,
a newcomer. He did pretty good. And that B,
yeah,
he seemed like he was starting to get the hang of things as the race went on until he got smashed into another car.
yeah, it was good to see Robert back out there. If anyone that doesn't know Robert, he's a pretty big boy. I want to say he's like six. He's probably 6'4" or something like that. But he always just picks the freaking tiniest cars to run. I think he was in like a 2-door Escort this go around. Looked like a one of those guys in a clown car. His head touching the roof, his arms could barely fit in the windows. Just always cracks me up how he gets the smallest cars.
Yeah, he's a pretty big old boy. I forgot about that now that you mention it. And then B main number 3 came out. Josh Bertoni, he ran a pretty good race. That 8 up was also right up there. Hans Anderson, he led for shoot the first 3 laps. He was in the lead, or more than that. I'm watching kind of back, but yeah, Hans drove a really good race, and then at the end he broke the tie rod. And he was pointing both wheels right over there where I was standing, right in front of me, in B main number 3. But Jeremiah Bertoni in the 8 up ended up winning, and Samuel Hurd in the 120 got second in B main number 3. Big Orange coming in third. He almost had transfer spot. This was the race of I felt like everybody out there made a little mistake of their own. Like no one had a perfect race, but it was a one of them races like you would see in the old days, where it's like a race of attrition. We seen cars dropping off every lap. There would seem like a car would drop off. And I don't know if that was like Jordan Youngmeyer. He led most of that race. Him and Samuel Hurd, or him and let's see, him and Hans Anderson. I meant they were leading that most of that race.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that ended with 4 cars.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a brutal race. We were talking to Dennis afterwards. He said, "Man, I got real close to just going ape shit on that, all of them. So,
Yeah.
man, it was rougher than heck out there. You get that with those big Bs. It seems like, the more cars start a consolation, the less cars will finish.
Yeah, but the funny thing about that, there was only 9 cars that made the call to that console. That one, a lot of the cars that were supposed to be in that, they canceled out before they even made it. And it's just, yeah, you could tell the Derby driver in them was about to come out. And I mean, we see that quite a bit whenever the races get rougher towards the end of the year. It really tests drivers' patience. And I think if that would have been his car, he probably it probably would have happened. Right after our B mains, we went ahead and pulled out the full size demolition derby. We had 13 full size cars come out. It was a quality field. I felt like there was a lot of good looking builds as I was walking through the pits. I didn't really get to look at the cars too much. Like I wasn't involved in the tech or anything, but just from like a 10 foot, like a 10-foot distance, the cars looked really competitive. We had some good looking cars out there, but it was like Henry Ray, Tyler Ray versus Chris McDaniel, and he might have and Alan Bauer might have got in with them on that, but it was like so those are the guys all running for points, and David Shaw was out there too. I don't know, he went out pretty early. I don't know what happened to him, and but that number 25, I want to give kudos to him. That Brett White guy comes out there and he was freaking making things happen. Got a couple Mad Dog votes, I think. I wasn't sure, but I'm sure someone voted for him. He was in that purple and black car.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was fun to watch. You think he came all the way from Hannibal, Missouri? Yeah, put on a show.
The guy, I want to give kudos to him. I mean, he drove that car forwards and stood it up. I mean, he was just parking in wherever that front end would go, he'd just park it there. I mean, they weren't the most calculated shots, but they were shots. They were full speed shots.
Yeah, well, beforehand, he came with a group, and I think the kind of like the crew chief, I guess you would call him. It may have been his dad or an older friend. He came and said, "Man, I thought this was supposed to be a stock class." And I guess that they thought our stock class was the bone stock class. And the old man says, "Just go load them up. We ain't running against these other cars." So they ended up saying, "Oh, we came this far. We might as well just run them." So they definitely ran the hell out of them.
Yeah, Brenton Holo Sharp said he lost the rear end. He ended up 11th place. Donald Porter, he's just out there having fun. He got 9th place. That Mike Johnston, was that another one that was with him? That Mike Johnston. He's driving that number 8 car. He's fun to watch. Blaine Heller and Darren Witt got her down to 7th and 6th. And Chris McDaniel, I mean, he would put up a fight. Got 5th place. Is doing a really good job out there. And man, he took a couple shots that you could tell just really hurt his ribs, and he was in pain. Chris and I had been friends for a long time, and I felt like them Eldon guys that were battling for the points are really good. You know, they're all friends, but it came down to like who's gonna, this is to try to win points right here, and man, that was a battle between them guys. I kind of caught myself watching the show on the between them, other than the rest of the Derby. I kind of had to catch myself a couple times, like, oh, there's other cars on the track still. I need to keep my head on a swivel. But yeah, Hans, your focus was moving out there in the B, though. What do you think about that battle between the Ray boys and Chris McDaniel, Joshua? I lost him.
Man, no, it was it was fun to watch. I don't know. I wish Chris had a little bit more help on the track, kind of make it even. But no, they did what they had to do, and then they were giving it to him. I give it to both of, or to really all three of them, to Henry, Tyler, and Chris. They all knew what had to be done. They were all shaking hands afterwards. Henry and Tyler were feeding them the bumpers, and he was, man, one thing about Chris, that guy, he always has a good attitude, but man, he's a hell of a driver. He just kept taking shots, and they'd have one lined up and he'd turn out of it, and they eventually caught up with him, but man, he definitely did not go down without a fight.
No, and he pulled his door probably like 10 times. I mean, I seen him take a lot of door shots because he was pulling it, being a good driver and protecting his wheels. And man, that was awesome to watch. It was a chess match for sure. But them guys weren't just putting around out there; they were getting with it. And it came down to four cars, and we had the 17A of Heath Boyd and Alan Bauer, Henry Ray, and Tyler Ray, and you could kind of tell Heath was the man out. And at that point in time, I was looking at Alan Bauer's car, going, "Man, this guy, I think he's going to get it done." His car, a well-built car. He spent all summer on it, and he was kind of hitting Heath Boyd. And you seen Henry backs up I mean, he comes across the track and gives Heath Boyd an awesome head-on shot. I don't know if you've seen that one or not, but he gave him an awesome head-on shot. I mean, it had to rattle his teeth. But then Henry spun around and backed all the way up to the other wall across the track. It wasn't the long end, but he backed her all the way up to the other end of the track, like horizontally side to side. That Heath Boyd seen that, said, "Nope, he broke his stick." And that opened up, and Allen was kind of stuck on Heath. He was still pushing him, and this made the real Henry come across the track and ended it. He fed Allen the whole front of that car, and he hit him so hard he was probably about 10 foot from the bank, or the dirt mounds that we have, like dirt walls around this side of the track, and he pushed Allen clear into the dirt mound and buried him over there. I mean, Allen had a heck of an engine in his car, and he he was pouring coals to it. He just couldn't get out. He was buried in that corner. Tyler come down there, tapped Henry, and that was all it took. And then that was the end of the Derby. Tyler Ray winning, Henry Ray getting second, Alan Bauer third, and Heath Boyd getting fourth. Awesome show to watch. I was just grinning ear to ear because after the Derby, when Henry made that shot, I wanted to check on his hand because I think it was Justin Quincy riding with him. He was fist bumping out the window, getting the crowd all pumped, and I'm looking at Henry. He's in there he's straight giving Mortal Kombat uppercuts to his roof of his car from the inside. I mean, you could hear it plain as day on my video of him just pounding that thing. He was like trying to knock out someone for the heavyweight title or something up inside that car. He was full of emotion. And after the Derby, he gets out of his car and he acts like one of them parkour people. He jumps over Alan Bauer's car and shakes his hand. I was like, holy crap. I didn't know Henry was that agile, but he is probably the most pumped person on the track. The passion of these drivers it ceases to amaze me. He had Tyler Ray.
Was Henry mad?
Ghost.
Why was he punching?
I think he was just pumped up, man. Yeah, he was punching the crap out of his roof, like his interior of his car. Like if you go back and watch that reel I posted, you can like if you turn the volume up on Facebook, you can literally hear him pounding his roof. So bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, I just didn't know if he like broke a distributor or something because whenever he hit, it seemed like he broke. So I didn't know if he was mad or he was pumped up like you
He
were
said he
saying.
was just so pumped. Because I asked him, I was like, how's your hand? Did you break your hand? He goes, oh no, I was just excited. Probably the most excited person out there. And he definitely was excited. Then you got Henry or Tyler, he goes home and I don't even think I got home yet and out of the shower and Tyler's already got his engine pulled and stuff. I was like, holy crap. That was dedication right there. He's trying to get ready for this week.
Yeah, I was talking to him last night. He said, "Yeah, I got home and I told him." He said he told his wife that he's just done for the season. He ain't gonna even go to the speedway. And she says, "The hell you're not. Get out there and get it fixed. You come too far to give up now." So
Yeah, it's got to wear on these drivers, though. I mean, we've had Derby. It seemed like these last couple weeks. You got your Turkey Fest, Apple Fest, and then you got the Lake Ozark show 3 weeks in a row. That's got to be rough trying to make it back to the track each and every week. That's got to be rough on them Derby drivers. But
it's rough
we
on
had
the
our
drivers, rough on the families, rough on the pit crew.
yeah.
This last stretch, man, it's brutal. But we talk about it all the time. It takes a freaking village to win points, and it takes some big support at home, and I think he's definitely got that. I think he may have sealed the deal. I think all he has to do is show up.
I didn't see how the points look yet, but I don't know who this Jay Wood is on my YouTube. Dedicated boys, dedicated is what they put on there. But for sure, them Ray boys are dedicated. All them drivers that are running points are dedicated. It's a testament to bring home that Lucky Sevens championship ring for sure. It takes a lot, but we had our A main and the figure eight come out, and man, it didn't disappoint either. The track was about right, and we had Kyle Wardenhausen and Alan Fisher, Justin Quincy, Jordan Piter. That was your top four, but they didn't get there like that. It was Dylan Chilton who jumped out to an early lead, and he blew a tire or something that brought him back down. And then, I think it was Garrett Jones. He jumped out to the first of the lead, but he didn't even make it a lap. I think he broke an axle coming across the center right off the bat, and Kyle Wardenhausen, he made his way up to the front, along with Justin Quincy and Alan Fisher, and they were. It was a rough heat. It was a rough A main. Definitely was one of those heats of attrition. We seen a bunch of cars that were dead at the end of the race. Nathan Dummermuth, he had some problems right off the bat. Joshua Craig had problems off the bat. Jared Snurich had problems right off the bat. Garrett Ferguson had him and Daniel Wallenmeyer got hung up right off. I mean, like 2 laps in. So it was tough sledding for about 8 of those drivers right off the get go. But I thought Johnny Egger drove a good race. Chilton, I was shocked he got 7th, blowing a tire that early, and his wheel was spinning inside his tire, so he was not going hardly anywhere for a few laps there till he finally spit it off the bead and was running on the rim the rest of the race. That's good to see old Justin Quincy. Talked to him before the race. He still didn't have him a set of tires. He's right after the heat race. He said, "See, I didn't need tires to make that A main," and then he puts it on the podium in the A main. So that's cool to see a Derby guy come over and still be competitive with the figure eight guys. Donald White, he broke as well. But yeah, it was a tough race for a lot of these guys. James Fisher was running on 3 wheels at the end. And yeah, I think the top 4 had the best races, and then the rest of them, they were all having problems they had to overcome. So but yep. Justin Quincy, I think he broke an axle. Shoot, he probably broke an axle when he's coming around to get the checkered or whatever, the white or maybe
Yep.
white or
Yep.
checkered.
Coming to get the
And
white.
that I think Kyle came
Jordan
behind
Pyer.
him.
No, Jordan Piter, the 4th place car, pushed him across.
Yeah, I was wondering. I couldn't remember who was pushing him, but I knew the guy behind him almost took him over, but he's getting pushed. So I thought that was neat how that happened. But just like I said earlier, it's a testament to the DVR crew for loaning out Landon a car and giving them a shot at the points at least.
Yeah, we're talking to Henry and Justin after the race, going back to where Justin got pushed across. He said, "How do you make a Honda fast?" And I said, "I don't know." He said, "Put a Cavalier behind it and push it." Oh, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's a good
shout out
show.
to
And then we
them.
had
I think that's the first. I think that's the first race that we've had all year where someone, outside of the top 30, 40 drivers in points have made the podium, and that's kind of unusual. But it used to be you get kind of those out of the bluers, or we'll call them, that just run a few shows here and there, and they'll get on the podium. But we haven't had that in a few years, so it's good to see somebody do it. But it can still be done, you can still compete in the we'll call it, the wood shop floor or dirt floor shop build.
Oh yeah. And he was doing a really good job up there. And um well, I'll get to the powder puff and then I'll get to what I was gonna say. So the powder puff, Lexus Ferguson won and Darian Jones getting second. Awesome job to them too. Darian was driving Kyle Wardenhausen's car. She was real thankful to be allowed to drive his car. And Lexus ran off with this one. I mean, she showed everybody that she's the queen still, and she's still here. So Danielle Schulte, she had a good race going. It seemed like she got her e-brake thing figured out. I seen her back wheels locking up, and seemed like she was taking the turns a lot better. She just got hung up this week and kind of cost her. Good job to the Anderson girls. They were out there. They put on a pretty good show. They were racing. Oh, Christina and Beth were towards the back of the pack, but they were still putting on a show between each other. And Jonna Dow, she had problems, right? That number 20 car that she was driving, man, it found the same mud hole the whole night. Seemed like it'd make it to that one spot in that one corner and it would just die right there. I don't know what was going on with that. I don't know if it's just so, bellied out that it's just catching the ground through that mud hole or what, but it seemed like that car, every time it'd make it to that one spot, it would just belly out and be done. So, but that was the Apple Bash. Like I said, we thank everybody for coming. It's now time that we kind of turn our focus towards this weekend. We have this Saturday night. We have or I should say, whoa. That must have been Jesse Wood, that Jay Wood on there. But we turn our attention and focus to Lake Ozark Speedway this weekend. It's championship night, baby. It's what the drivers and crews been fighting for all year long. We're going to see which names are going to end up on the championship cup for the figure eight guys. Who's going to get the ring? Will it be a repeat winner, or which one's going to get her done? And I think Chilton's got quite a good lead, so it'd have to be something. I don't know even how the points work for the figure eight guys. He might have it sealed up, just got to show up type deal.
I think pretty much because he has a feature pass. I think that he's got to do really poorly, and then either Kyle or Landon has to win, and probably gain, probably get some hard charger points too. But yeah, he has a feature pass, so he's basically guaranteed to make the feature. So I think if he maybe gets below 15th or 16th and they win, so there's still a chance. There's still a mathematical chance.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you guys since we're talking about Saturday night. I was looking at the flyer. In the years past, we did a top 10 race right off the rip. The top 10 in points come out. Top 2 go to the A main. Are we doing that again this year?
Oh yeah. That's how we start championship night, baby, with champions. Top 10 race will start us off.
I just
top 2.
Normally it's on the flyer, but it wasn't this year, so I wanted to ask it. I've been getting some questions. I was like, I'll just ask them on the podcast or this week sometime. I was like, I know as a driver, I mean, that's one of my favorite races. When we used to do those top 10 races when we were racing, that was my favorite driver because you're that was my favorite race of the season because you're racing against the best 10 drivers out there. Everybody knows how everybody drives because you've been driving each other all year long. And it's just all out. It's just a full on race. I mean, no one's there to tear each other up. It's just like who's the fastest, who's going to be the top two. Uh, I mean, I
Yep.
did tear up that one guy one time.
No, yeah,
Oh,
that's exactly what it is.
Donnie,
It's
what's his
Donnie
name?
Gerlin.
Donnie. Yeah, Donnie Gurley at Versailles. Top 10 night. I freaking took him out first corner. I didn't expect him to turn so quickly. But I felt bad. They were parked right next to us too.
Yeah, no,
He
it's
didn't talk.
that's
He
you
didn't.
you explained it correctly. It's go ahead with your story, then I'll get on with it.
Yeah, we were. I mean, we were right next to each other. Points to that year. Before we went out there, so we're just gonna go out there and race and not take each other out. And the very first, the flag drops, and I mean, we go around the first tire. The very next tire, he whips that thing sideways, and he was trying to cut the tire close, and I just freaking. I think I got pushed from behind, but I smoked him right in the front axle. And back in that day, if you took someone's tie rod out and axle, that was pretty much their night. We didn't really bring parts like we these guys do these days, and uh, I think he came up with a quick fix, but that took him out of his contention to be the right, the right off transferring on. So
Yeah, well,
I
there used to
remember it.
be there used to be more stuff involved. Like that was the only points race of the night. The rest of it was just fun afterwards.
Yeah,
But now the way we do it is, that's the top 10 race starts it off. And then, so there's no points involved. I know we've had a lot of people ask about how the points is. So there's no points for that race. All it is just guaranteeing that you get to start front row of the feature. And, you get to say that you're the best. I think we got a little trophy coming as well for that. But yeah, we start them, in order of the points. So, 1, 2, Chilton and Landon will start pole for that race, and we'll just go down through the top 10, and that's you're just guaranteeing your spot. So all the drivers know that there's you still got a full night of racing after this race. So they're just like you described it. It's the most raciest race of the year.
oh yeah. And normally we start our youth classes out first, but I was talking to you guys earlier in the week, and it sounds like those are going to be pushed later on in the day because this is our night starts at 2 o'clock. Like the racing is going to happen at 2 o'clock. So, that's definitely a different time than we're normally accustomed to starting at. And these youth drivers, a lot of them play football and stuff, so we're going to push them towards further on in the night, I hear.
Yep.
And I'm assuming there's still time to donate some derby parts and stuff to the youth derby drivers. I know Jacob's been trying to real hard to round up some different prizes for the youth derby guys. We did it last year, and it just seemed like the kids really enjoyed getting those. We got roof signs, all kinds of stuff donated last year, and every one of them kids that were there, I seen something on their cars, throughout this year from that championship night last year. So
Yeah, here's what I have so far as donations for that. Pull it up. Thank you for all of these guys that have donated. I know that we're going to get probably some more donations as well. But LMF, so Ryan Sealock has donated a choice of tune ECM. So I think that's 3100 or an Ecotech or any kind of ECM he offers. Zach Jewell with Jewel Fab has donated a roof sign. Don Porter with Slim's Garage. He's donated a set of V-treads. Jake and Ernie Timbrook Senior have donated 5-point harness. My mom has donated, I think, a pretty expensive battery, a brand new battery. Tyler Ray's got a solid steering wheel, and I think Tyler Ray's going to donate a couple battery boxes, and then we have another battery box donated as well. I think there's some other stuff that may not be on the list, but it's awesome at the end of the night, you know, to watch those kids pick through those prizes.
Yeah, that
Have
was my
their
favorite.
dads, have their dads try and tell them which ones to pick. That's
Yeah, I
always
was cracked up last year.
it's fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, we can't thank all those guys enough. I know we'll probably get a little bit more, but anyone that wants to donate to anything this night, you know, a lot of these extra races, they don't come with prizes. So like mechanics race, you know, if you want to donate to a Mad Dog or something like that for the the total destruction or anything like that, just let us know. We'll get you hooked up. All that money goes back to the drivers. But yeah, it's shaping up to be one hell of a night. But any kind of extra stuff like that goes back to the drivers, anyone wants to put together, just let us know, and we'll try and pass that on.
Yeah, and a lot of people's been like reached out to all of us. It sounds like kind of tires you think I should run. I mean, it's racetrack. It's gonna be a hard surface, and you know, they've been asking us. I know all three of us has been getting asked because of our little chat we got going on, and uh, I'm interested to see how the tire choices come into play this week. For
Well,
sure, I don't.
I'll let you know that I went out there to build the track. So I know Josh Craig was asking last week how the track's going to be set up. He said, "What do you want?" He said, "You can have any of the track you want." I said, "Well, just give us the whole front stretch." So that's what we'll be expecting whenever we get there is the entire front stretch. Basically, there's still you know, coming off those corners, they're pretty banked, but most of the
Huh.
semi flat front stretch is ours. You know, it's the Derby track now.
It's awesome. Yeah, that I'm kind of, there's some kind of banking still
Oh, it's
involved in
pretty
this.
steep. It's pretty steep. So that's going to go into tire choice as well. You know, you're going to be, especially for the figure eight guys, you're going to be going downhill
Oh
and
yeah.
turning uphill into one corner, and you're coming. You know, it'll
Oh
be
yeah, these guys are gonna have to
interesting.
adjust their driving styles on the fly on this surface. It's gonna be something that they've never seen where one corner you're like going uphill and then coming downhill, and the other corner you're going uh downhill, then you gotta turn uphill and then come back downhill. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be awesome to watch. I can't wait just to see how this plays out. I get excited just thinking about it because
Oh
like
yeah,
think of all the collisions that we're going to see because people are going to have this downhill head of steam from both directions. I mean, possibly, and they're just going to collide. I mean, it's going to make an awesome reel. But oh man, it's inevitable. It's going to happen at some point in time, and then we've got we've got mechanics race, perfect attendance race. Uh, We have our powder puff, our power wheels. We also got we could have a officials race again. That's something that I know all of us look forward to. We always kind of secretly hope we get to do it, but I don't think any of us go into there expecting it, but we just hope to do it. Um, so hopefully there's a few cars running around that people let us jump in. And then right at the end of the night, we do that cleanup figure eight derby, and we have a street stock derby. Man, we got a whole night, and a gut and go derby. We got a night full of fun, and it's $15 to enter. I seen on there, like to come watch, and man, you look at that flyer and you think, holy smokes, I'm getting $50 worth of action for $15. I mean, $15 isn't a bad ticket price to pay on that.
No, it'll be an all day, half the night deal, I want to say.
Yeah, for sure. And good luck to everybody that comes, and bring your family out. It's gonna be a good time. For sure. I can't wait. Can't wait to watch the derby. Can't wait to watch the figure eight. It's been a long time since I've seen a derby on a racetrack. Where it's actually going to be on the front stretch. I mean, when we were really young, they used to do it at Capitol Speedway right there on the front stretch too. And that made for some awesome derbies. But we went to Lucas like 10 years ago, and the derby was on the infield, so it wasn't even like on the racing surface.
I went out there, like I said, out there to build the track, and that thing, it still had some black in it. They just ran their nationals. They said they ain't touched it since. The only reason it's not full black is because it's rained. But I was out there walking on it, and it freaking thing is hard.
Oh yeah.
I said, "What? You guys aren't planning on doing anything with it?" He said, "Well, we thought about it." I said, "Don't touch it. Like leave it just like this."
Yeah.
The only time we'll need water is for it to keep the dust down and to keep the kids safe. But other than that, we'll let them play.
Yeah. Let them go as fast as they want to go. Oh, it's gonna be an awesome night. Action packed for sure. We can't say enough about it. Just the build up to this is super exciting. Can't wait to. I love their little preview video they came out with. And yeah, see everybody there too. So the derby starts the events start at 2:00. And so we'll have to get there pretty early. What time's tech start, Joshua? For all the drivers that listen to this.
Oh, it's going to start at 11, I believe. I know a couple Derby guys have been asking if they just want to watch the Derby. I know figure eight's not for everybody. I expect the Derbies to start probably around 5. So if you're just wanting to go to that, you could probably come a little later. I know Tommy said he's going to get there early and start teching, but we'll get you in. Just let us know if you're going to be late.
Sounds like a good show. So sounds like it's going to be a good derby. So.
No, I'm excited. There's still, like we talked about, there's still a bunch of close points races. I know Kyle with his win, he kind of snuck up on Landon, I think. So I forgot what he was, but I want to say he's pretty close.
4 points.
Yeah, maybe bigger on the actual, like, with the lowest race. Took out maybe like a 6 or 8. I can't remember. But
oh yeah, I don't.
If you scroll down to the bottom of those points,
yeah, they're 2 points apart. They're 2 points apart on the website. So
go
knows?
down, scroll down to the bottom, and it'll show the top 20 with the lowest night taken out. So that's a more accurate one to look at.
Oh, okay. I don't even look at that one. Now I know. So they're 8 points away from each other.
Yeah, so that's a that'll be an interesting thing to watch on its own. I know that
James
I think
Fisher.
fifth place is close too.
Yep.
Yeah, Fisher's.
Fisher and Dummermuth are pretty close there.
Go for it.
And then I mean, you can look down through that top 20 and there's everybody. I mean, if you look down from like 10th on, everyone's within striking distance of each other pretty much. So Kyle's winning the Hard Charger Award right now with over James with 61 and 59. So that'll be interesting to
Oh
see
yeah.
how that plays out.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. They're both strategizing about how, what should I do bad in my heat and,
Yeah.
try to make it through the Conti. Like they're, that those little award races, they're fun to watch, but to the guys that win those, they get that provisional. So those things are pretty freaking valuable. We talked about how Chilton used one to take the win, in Jeff City. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's and we're just looking at this perfect attendance list. It's man, there's a lot of drivers still on that thing.
that's the thing. That's what I'm most proud of. I think. Just looking back on the season, I know those drivers on that list, and even a few of them that aren't that missed it by one or two shows, but that number has continued to grow and grow every year, and that's probably something that me and Jacob are most proud of is that the number of perfect attendance drivers on there. It's such a hard thing to do. It's probably you look through the top 10 and not all of those drivers are on there. So I think it's just showing up every week is such a win in itself if you're able to do that.
Oh yeah.
Definitely a win for us to see people do that.
I just want to say something. So Chilton, he was your points winner last year, and he's got a pretty good shot. So this will be 2 years in the same car with quite a bit of events, winning back-to-back points. That's a feat. I mean, to imagine the amount of work that they put into that thing to keep it going this long. Because he hasn't been easy on that car. We were looking at it, as it was pulling through tech, and that thing's bending at the firewall like crazy. And uh, you wonder how much longer it's going to keep going for him. So, because every car is different. You have those cars that stick out in your mind that you've driven throughout your career that you're like, man, that was the car right there. That was my best car. And you only hope that you get a similar prototype out of your next one. But I was looking at that and we were talking about it last week and it kind of resonated in my mind like, man, this could be, you never know what that next car could bring. It could shake things up even more. Um, you just never know how that next car is going to run for you.
The truth, Jacob's Cavalier he had back in the day, that thing would still be around if he didn't derby it. He'd probably still winning races.
Pretty
In
winning
the famous
races
words of
still.
my dad. No, but you're right. You think of Jacob's Cavalier he had, I don't remember how many wins he had on that thing. The old square body, that was one of his first cars. I mean, like my Grand Am, I had, man, I don't know how many races I had on that, but I think I won, I think it was 7 or 8 times with that thing. And then, once you lose that, that special car, it's hard to find anything even close to it. There's really something. I don't care. You can take the motor out of the car and put in a different one, but it'll never be the same.
Just like that. I had that Pontiac Sunfire. That thing, it brought home trophies every night except for when I ran out of gas and before the show and at the show twice in a row. And it's just you get out of that car and you get your next one, you're kind of like, man, I felt like I built this one better and it's not doing as good. So it's kind of hard on the driver. Like, oh man, thought I was gonna have an awesome car, and that's something we see happen quite a bit. Like you just never know when you're gonna find that golden car that fits your driving style perfectly and everything meshes up. So I'll be interested to see how long it keeps it around. It sounds like this is its maiden voyage right here, its last hurrah. So but this is one of my favorite nights of the year, just because we have that figure eight cleanup derby at the end of the night, and the guys are freaking. It's just freaking crazy. These guys put on a show. They don't give a crap about it. It's my favorite thing about cleanup shows. All they care about is who can junk whose car the worst. Like they just want to get their stuff out of it so they don't stare at it all winter long. And this is a whole cleanup show pretty much. So I can't wait to see what shows up to the derby is and who goes out there and just has one thought in their mind is how bad can I junk this thing tonight. But for those that are listening, um, this is going to be at Lake Ozark Speedway in Oldham, Missouri. The show is going to start at 2 o'clock. If you're interested, come check it out. It's going to be a really fun show, and we hope to see some new faces around. We're allowing a little extra plates than normal because it's a cleanup show. They made it's a post on Lucky Sevens Promotions Facebook page, and they're giving 2 extra plates for since it's a cleanup show. So go check them out. See everybody there. Josh, you got anything else you want to say to these guys before we end this episode up?
You may have mentioned of it in the past, but the perfect attendance race, that's another cool thing we do. That's for all the drivers that got perfect attendance, and whether that be for Powder Puff, I don't know. We'll talk about youth. We might let some youth drivers in there. I think we just have the 2 youth drivers that got perfect attendance. We'll see if they want to do it, but anyone that got perfect attendance, we put them out there. And we put the girls up front, and then we do it opposite. So inverse standings of their points is how they start. So that's
It's
always
fine.
a fun race to watch too. But no, I just can't. We can't thank everyone enough for all the support that we've got all year. Yeah, we're gonna send it out with a bang. Party at Jacobs afterwards. He wants everybody there.
Yeah, he sent out a text. He's like, "Don't forget to tell everybody that there's a party at my house after the show." But yeah, we thank you all for the support. Thank you for supporting the Crashed It podcast and the YouTube channel. We appreciate everybody, all the likes, the follows, sharing everything up. We appreciate it. It's really helping out, and we got some big things planned here at Crashed It for next year that we're going to kind of let everybody know through the off season and show everybody's what's coming up. But we still got one more night for the Lucky Sevens, so we'll be there recording everything, and we hope to see everybody out there. Thanks for tuning in. This is another episode of the Crash the Podcast. Don't forget, we expect to see everybody out there sending it this week.